The garlic sizzled in the pan as I stirred, the sharp sweetness rising to my nose. The kitchen wasn't mine, not yet. It was my mother's, white tiles scrubbed so often the grout shone, a battered wooden table in the corner just big enough for the six of us. My older brother Leon leaned against the fridge, arms folded, his mouth set in that lopsided smirk I used to think was cool when I was a kid. My father clattered plates with unnecessary force, setting the table methodically, the same way he did every Thursday. Family dinner, a tradition that used to settle me until I grew sharp edges. I glanced at the clock, 5:59 p.m. on the dot. My family would file in, take their seats and expect something normal. Meat and 3 veg, maybe mum's roast chook or a curry if Leon had his way. But tonight the meal was mine, tomato confit on charred toast, a salad of greens from the garden, slow-braised beef cheeks, and a vanilla panna cotta barely holding its shape in the fridge. Footsteps thudded, my sister Alyssa entered first, followed by her husband Tim, both carrying the smell of rain from outside. Sydney had been slick with showers all week. Alyssa caught the scent of the garlic and wrinkled her nose. "What's all this, Josh?" she said, nudging Tim toward the table. I sprinkled salt over the tomatoes, ignoring Leon glancing over my shoulder. "Thought I'd do something a bit different tonight." Dad snorted, stacking cutlery. "Different isn't always better." Alyssa perched on the edge of her chair, her eyes, blue like mine, flicked to Leon, then to the stove and back to me. "Is this for your job again, that new cafe?" "It's research, yeah. We rotate the menu every week." Leon laughed, short and sharp. "Research? What's there to research about making toast?" Mum came in with the salad, cheeks flushed from the last-minute rush. She squeezed my shoulder, warmth and confusion mingling. "Looks fancy, love, but you know not everyone likes their food skipped through a garden first." "Skidded," Leon muttered. Tim grinned politely, mouth tight. He was an accountant, the kind who believed creativity belonged in spreadsheets. I plated the confit, arranging the bright reds and oranges on toasted sourdough, adding olive oil like a signature. My hands shook, but I breathed steady. "You might like it, taste is subjective." "Subjective, right," Leon interrupted, rolling his eyes. "Look, Josh, shouldn't you have grown out of this by now? I mean, you're almost 30. Who's going to pay you to play around with food?" Dad sat, gaze heavy, voice quiet. "You had good grades, could have gone to uni, do something stable." "Not this again," I muttered. Alyssa picked up a fork and prodded the salad, her voice softer. "I'm not saying you're wasting time, but honestly, Josh, you're still renting a shoebox and working nights. There's nothing wrong with cooking for fun, but don't you want a proper job, stability?" I searched for a response, the same words I'd said before, about passion, about meaning, but they dried up on my tongue. Instead, I served the beef cheeks, letting the aroma fill the room, hoping it could speak for me when I couldn't. As we ate, they dissected my choices, Leon cracking jokes about Instagram chefs, Dad muttering about superannuation, Alyssa telling me about Tim's promotion and their house. Nothing changed. There was no pause for flavor, no acknowledgement of skill, just the relentless suggestion that I was wrong, childish, naive. After dessert, I washed up alone as voices echoed behind me, my career, my future, all the things I should be. I let the water run hot over my hands, and for a moment let myself believe I was sinking. The city lights outside the window blinked, rain tapping, soft and relentless. That night, as I walked home beneath the sticky Sydney drizzle, I realized their doubts were a weight I'd never dropped. It made each step heavier, wearing grooves I struggled to climb from. But there was something stubborn in me, a fragment maybe, that refused the shape of their expectations. The years curled past in steam and sweat. Savory scents replaced street air, kitchens became my world, tiny cafes in Sarai Hills, a noisy bistro in the rocks, long winter evenings in the back of a Thai place near Newtown. My hands toughened, fingers nicked and tough, skin stained with turmeric and fire. I worked dawns and dusk, resting only between jobs with mumbled good on years from exhausted chefs and plates of staff meal limp with fatigue. Twice I nearly quit. Once, when my savings dried up after a failed restaurant opening, my boss vanished overnight, taking my last paycheck. I remember sitting on the curb with a trash bag of uniforms, the taste of old tomato sauce in my throat, wondering if Leon had been right. Another time, when my first review posted online compared my pasta to wet cardboard, slicing deeper than any blade. Even then the hunger stayed, a gnawing need not just to eat but to create, to turn memory and loss into comfort on a plate. I remembered Mum's Sunday risotto, my Zadie's chopped salad, the way food carried family when words failed. Rejection pressed in like mold, steady and silent. Calls to home became shorter, Dad's voice distant, Leon's laughter sharp, Elissa's concern threaded with disappointment. None of them ever visited, too busy to cross the city for modern cuisine. Their silence burrowed inside me, turning bitterness to resolve. I read, cooked, watched strange YouTube tutorials in Hindi, Italian, Turkish, French. Learned to torch mackerel, spin sugar, make bread that chattered under a knife. I worked open kitchens and stifling basements, and I started saving again. 3 years gone, I heard about the disused terrace in Redfern. It was a narrow place, a crumbling brick pattern on the front and a wild garden strangling the yard. The windows were grimy, the walls inside stained with time and former tenants' cigarettes. I signed the lease, heart in my mouth and bank account screaming. I painted, scrubbed. When the café Oleander opened, I did everything: menus, dishes, payroll, even the first social media posts. I wore the same pair of boots daily, stitched split seams, borrowed money on my credit. Some days we had 10 customers, some days none. My emotions shifted like the Sydney sky, hopeful sun and then the pounding storm. Then a food blogger came in, took a photo of my beetroot ravioli, wrote that eating it felt like remembering something beautiful you'd forgotten. The next week we sold out 4 nights in a row, a magazine called. Then a spot on a morning radio show. By now I barely remembered the sound of my brother's ridicule or the pained sigh in Elissa's voice. My world narrowed to searing heat, sharp knives, the quick rhythm of orders flying from the pass. I slept in a bed above the cafe, dreamless from exhaustion. A year in, we earned our first chef's hat. I said nothing to my family, though Mum texted twice to ask if I'd visit for Dad's birthday. I responded with polite apologies, lying about work emergencies, truth salted with regret. Still, an ache lingered. Succeeding felt hollow if no one from home saw it, touched it, smelled the proof. I was building something, yes, but was I rebuilding myself or leaving the ruins behind? It was Leon who reached out first. His wife had seen a photo tagged at Oleander, someone from her office raving about the best lamb I've tasted, no lie. A message from him popped up while I was prepping onions. So you actually made it, huh? I wanted to throw my phone into the dish pit, but I breathed, wiped my hands and typed, "Come see for yourself." A week later, I reserved a table for 6. I set it by the window, flowers clipped fresh, linen crisp. Saturday night, the cafe lit golden, city shadows leaning in as the evening grew deep. I wore my best jacket, hair slicked down. Staff bustled beside me, but tonight was mine. My family would see. They arrived in a cluster, Leon first, in a suit far too neat for my place. Elissa with Tim and 2 little boys I'd only seen in Christmas card pictures. Dad walking slow behind, his stride cautious, Mum beside him. The room was busy, strangers laughing, glasses clinking, the low thump of jazz underlining it all. They hesitated by the door, scanning for something to criticize, I guessed. Then Mum's eyes caught mine and she smiled, sudden and shy. We skipped pleasantries. I welcomed them, voice steadier than I felt, and led them to the table. Mum's hand trailed over the grain of the wood. Elissa peered at the menu, brow furrowed. A waiter brought sparkling water, house bread with spiced oil. I designed every detail from the font to the plates sourced from a Japanese potter in Sarai Hills. The boys bickered about mocktails while Dad grunted about prices, but I let it blur. This was my arena. "Got any steak and chips?" Leon joked, flicking through the carefully written menu. "We've got Wagyu brisket with miso jus and fried potatoes," I said, a smile tugging at my lips. He grinned, conceding, "Fancy." "All right, chef, show us what you've got." I did. I started them with Sydney rock oysters, sharp with finger lime and yuzu, pan-seared kingfish, crisp skin glinting, flesh soft as promise. A salad of celeriac, burnt honey and seeds, an ode to our old garden. The main was that lamb, slow-roasted, scented with za'atar, served with lebne and charred carrots, earthy and bright. They ate differently tonight. Maybe because the place demanded it, polished concrete floors, lively staff, the weight of other diners' anticipation. Maybe because I watched them, almost daring them to deny the proof. Leon chewed, swallowed, looked up. His words came out flat, uncertain. "Damn, you cooked this." "Every menu," I replied. Elissa's fork hovered, eyes wide. "I've never tasted. Josh, how did you even learn this?" I shrugged, worked, tried, failed. Started again. Dad placed his cutlery down, voice softer than I remembered. "You did all this yourself." I nodded. The table was silent as they looked around, seeing not only the food but the tiny universe I'd built. The regulars at the bar, the chefs calling my name in the open kitchen, the small framed articles on the wall. For once their skepticism found no foothold. The meal ended with rhubarb and rosewater panna cotta, and when I visited their table, my hands not quite steady, it was Mum who reached over, taking mine, squeezing hard enough that I wanted to cry. "We're proud of you, love," she whispered, voice thick. For a breath, the ache dissolved. The walls of the cafe pressed in, close and warm, and I saw, just for a second, myself as they did now. Sculpted by loss, yes, but shaped anew, reconstructed. After they left, Dad lingered at the door, hands trembling a little. "Your granddad would have loved this," he said quietly. "I'm sorry I didn't understand sooner." His words were a salve I didn't know I yearned for. I hugged him, the city weaving its lights outside, rain whispering at the glass. That night, after the last plate was stacked and the last patron gone, I sat alone in the empty dining room. I took a long breath, tasting the air, salt, sweet earth, citrus, and yeast. The sounds of family clung to the fabric of the place, laughter and apology, pride and regret, all woven between walls I'd painted myself on nights lit by hope and fluorescent bulbs. I didn't need more, the hunger had made me. So had the loss, but what rebuilt me in the end was not the proof of success, but the ability to come home, to open my door and let them see, finally, the heart beneath the cooking, the love threaded through every rough-edged memory. Sydney pulsed, alive outside my window, and I sat in the glow of everything I'd made true.